What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. Welcome to Pop Culture Clash. A lot has happened in the past year, and some of it didn't make us feel so good. But once again, we are in the position of seeing our favorite heroes united on screen together in Avengers Endgame. And while they're fighting for the continued existence of the universe, I thought it might be a nice break to tackle something a little less heavy. Like, what if our beloved characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe had their own partner Pokemon? Now, I will go ahead and say that we're merely dipping our toe in this exercise, since I will not be assigning an entire team to each of these characters, for a number of different reasons. Namely, most heroes are not overly similar to that many Pokemon, and even then, certain heroes would likely have overlap. That, and the fact that it would amount to a couple of hundred Pokemon, so my goal is to determine which one Pokemon might form a kind of special bond with these characters, and create a true partnership. Let's start at the beginning from over a decade ago with the first MCU film in Iron Man. Tony Stark is a complicated individual, to say the least, but despite his abrasive attributes, he managed to pull himself together and create the superhero mantle of Iron Man. His various exosuits provide strength, weaponry, and even flight capabilities. So to have a counterpart to this incredibly sleek and usually red armor, I've always thought that Scizor would be a perfect counterpart. The way that you get one is through the metal coat, so the principle's the same, and Scizor is of course a powerful Pokemon in its own right, so it could easily keep pace with one of the core members of the Avengers team. The next movie to appear was The Incredible Hulk, which is one most people forget about, but it did give us a look at Bruce Banner's angry alter ego. This muscly beast is all about brute strength, which makes me think, of course, of fighting Pokemon. And to me, I've always associated Machamp with the Hulk the most. It's one of, if not the buffest Pokemon around, and it's got 4 arms to fight back with. And also its shiny form is green, just like our Jade Giant friend, so I think it would fit right in smashing enemies with its hero partner. The next Avenger to have their very own movie was Thor. The Norse god of thunder burst onto the scene with monumental force, and has only grown in power over the years. To me, it only makes sense that Thor's partner not only be an electric type, but also a legendary, just like him. And to me, Thunderous would fit that bill, specifically the Therian form, since it is also strapping and muscular, and has great facial hair. And with its own flight and lightning powers, it pretty much is a dead ringer for Thor. Plus, it's not mandatory, but it does learn Hammer Arm, so there's that. Next, we have the first Avenger, Captain America. This star-spangled man has enhanced strength and physical abilities, but that's not really what makes him special. He possesses an incorruptible sense of justice, and an indomitable will. His duty to his country and its people is the sole reason he became a hero in the first place. And the Pokemon that best represents that country and those ideals to me is Braviary. If you don't believe me, just look at some of its dex entries and tell me you don't see Steve Rogers. With its brave disposition, it fears nothing, not even death. Known as the hero of the skies, this Pokemon is so proud and so brave that it will never retreat, even when it's injured.
I could do this all day.
This Pokemon shows off what Cap is all about, both in aesthetics and in demeanor, and embodies my favorite Avenger to perfection. However, there were other Avengers to join the team at its foundation, even though they didn't have their own debut films. The first of which is the sultry Russian spy, Black Widow. Natasha Romanoff has been in the espionage and assassination game longer than most of our heroes have even been active. But her combat skills have always made me think that Mienshao would be a good match. It's not only been a strong fighting type ever since it premiered, but it's got a sort of graceful beauty to its style of beating down its enemies. And the other member of the original team is of course Clint Barton, Hawkeye. This expert archer has been a player in the MCU for years now, even if it does look like things are a bit harder for him in Endgame. But of course, no one is surprised that the one Pokemon to be his partner would be Decidueye. It's the only archer equivalent in the Pokemon world, so if ever there's a bow and arrow, Decidueye is up at bat. but it's a great Pokemon regardless, so really, what's not to like? But this team wouldn't have come together if it weren't for Nick Fury and the involvement of S.H.I.E.L.D. As the director of a massive peacekeeping organization, Colonel Fury has to juggle a lot of problems, one of which was the variety of superpowered individuals cropping up, so why not make a team out of them? A regular guy like that keeping his cool around the extraordinary is admirable, so we need a Pokemon that can pull off that same suave attitude. And to me, the right candidate is Crocodile. It's definitely got the intimidation factor down to match Fury. Plus, there's not really an eye patch Pokemon, so I think Sunglasses would be an acceptable stand-in. That, and its general battle prowess, leads me to believe that this Desert Croc would be able to rumble with the best of them, just like Fury himself. But he's not the only S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that we've seen in these movies. Phil Coulson and Maria Hill have both been liaisons to the Avengers at different points. They're both capable agents performing their jobs well. And for these two, I couldn't resist going with Meowstic. And yes, that is pretty much just because they have distinct male and female forms. But you can't tell me that they don't already look like little S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. But of course, there's more than just the Phase 1 members, starting with Tony's best friend in War Machine. Colonel James Rhodes not only serves his country in the Air Force, but now also as a superhero. Rhodey's suit is similar to Iron Man's, but has much bigger artillery and far more ordnance to be completely decked out with weapons. So what Pokemon could possibly measure up to that level of firepower? Well, the only one that I could think of was Celesteela, but it fits better than I could have imagined. Not only is it a flying steel tank, but it can also shoot its own lasers, so really this Ultra Beast is a war machine in its own right. And while we're on buddies, let's talk about Falcon. Sam Wilson befriended Captain America over their shared military service, and has since used his flight suit to help Cap and the Avengers save the world on multiple occasions, and he can fly with the best of them. So to me, the best partner for a giant metal Birdman is Skarmory. Not only does this armored avian have the skills to match Falcon in aerial combat, but it's also got the same touch of red on the wings, so they seem like pretty kindred spirits to me. But Cap also has friends that skew a little darker. Bucky Barnes was experimented on and turned into the Winter Soldier, a brainwashed assassin. Through his friendship with Steve, he was able to use what had been done to him for good. As for Pokemon, I could see Bisharp as a possible partner. It is a steel type to fit the metal arm, but it's also a dark type, which fits the checkered past. And I could definitely see this Pokemon pulling off a similarly tortured demeanor. The next characters we meet are the Maximoff twins, Wanda and Pietro. The Scarlet Witch is extremely powerful with the likes of telepathy, telekinesis, and energy manipulation. The full extent of her abilities are still untapped. Bottom line, this dangerous beauty is not to be underestimated. So to capture someone to match that raw power, I had to go big with Mega Diancie. To me, not only being a mythical Pokemon, but also a Mega form, means that Diancie here has what it takes to be able to match Wanda. Plus, being a fairy type adds to the mysticism of this Pokemon, further complementing the witch aspect of her superhero persona. And Diancie can pull off the appropriate level of elegance as well, that hides the impressive and potentially unstable forces at play. And as for her brother, Quicksilver is the resident speedster of the Marvel Universe. We may not have had very long with Pietro compared to the others, but we know that he's willing to do whatever it takes to do what he thinks is right. I see Mega Manectric as a suitable partner for this metabolic miracle. Mega Manectric is basically just a giant lightning bolt to begin with, which gives life to the phrase lightning fast. Now, I know that there are Pokemon that are faster than Mega Manectric, but I mean, come on. It's not like Quicksilver is that fast. Maybe he should have been paired with a ghost type. Too soon? Then of course there's one of my favorite Avengers, Vision. This lovable android was created by Ultron to defeat the Avengers, but was downloaded with Jarvis and became so much more. He's not only incredibly powerful with energy projection and density shifting, but he's also become one of the most human members of the team. I think a perfect partner would be Mewtwo. Not only do they share a similar power level, but they're both created to be weapons. but both of them took fate into their own hands. Their shared experiences of being children of science would be a strong force for bonding these two experimental superweapons. The next hero we saw was the resurgence of the Ant-Man persona, this time under the control of Scott Lang. His size-changing abilities allow him to be ready for almost any potential situation. So forgive me for going with the obvious choice, but to me, Durant is a no-brainer. It is the prime ant Pokemon to date, so it would respond to the whole controlling ants part of its power set. And even its head looks like Ant-Man's helmet, so I say it was meant to be. And of course, it's about time his partner got the spotlight with the Wasp. Hope Van Dyne is a brilliant and powerful woman in her own right, but inside the suit, she is more than capable of being a hero, even better at the task than Ant-Man himself. But as far as Pokemon, I think Vespiquen is the equally obvious choice. This Hive Queen may be rare, but she is quite versatile with many unique qualities to match the Wasp in battle. Now we have the Master of the Mystic Arts in Doctor Strange. Dr. Stephen Strange is a surgeon turned wizard after his extensive study in the realm of magic. He is now the defender of Earth from all sorts of supernatural threats, with abilities that are seemingly only limited by his imagination. This made it difficult to try and pick a counterpart, however I settled on Mega Medicham. A Mega Psychic type has more than enough magical mojo for me, and his Eastern motif fits the vibe of Kamar-Taj and Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. Not to mention the little floating pieces of fabric perfectly call to mind the Cloak of Levitation. Then we come to a surprise of sorts when Spider-Man made his debut in the MCU. Peter Parker is just your standard teenager that just so happens to have amazing spider powers. But those abilities are nothing without the responsibility and the heart to do the right thing, which Peter has always shown. So he could have a few different Pokemon to be with, but I think we'll go with good old Ariados. Not only is it a spider with a similar color pattern, but it's not one that looks all that menacing. More friendly than you might expect. Besides, you've gotta have something that has webs to be able to keep up with this wall crawler. While not technically an Avenger, the Black Panther has already made quite the splash for a relatively new character in this ever-sprawling franchise. But not without merit. T'Challa is the king of Wakanda, which is one of the best nations on the Earth. And with that comes a pretty amazing vibranium suit, on top of his own enhanced physical abilities. This is a different kind of hero, so finding a Pokemon to measure up to this regal feline was a tall order, but I think I found a suitable pairing in Weavile. This Dark-type Pokemon may not be a cat specifically, but the similarities are hard to deny. Weavile, too, uses its own claws to great effect as its primary tools in battle, and also rocks the Hero King's signature color. I can definitely see this Pokemon sliding right into the fighting style of T'Challa, and becoming a worthy partner. And the most recent addition to the Marvel Universe is, of course, Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers served in the Air Force before becoming a super powerful alien warrior. She may not have known who she was at first, but once she found her humanity, her true power came to the surface, turning her into one of the biggest guns in the Marvel Universe. It took a bit to find a suitable companion, but I believe Lunala could work. This giant spectral bat is clearly powerful enough, being a legendary Pokemon, but it's also got its own connections to space, just like our captain. Also, Lunala can fly and shoots a lot of lasers, so the two could easily tear it up together. But with all these heroes, we might as well throw in one villain with Loki, who is obviously Zoroark. This Pokemon uses illusions to change its appearance, which perfectly matches the trickster god of mischief. And even though they're not Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy are a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so we'll go through them real quick. Star-Lord, Peter Quill, is an impetuous pseudo-leader for this band of misfits, but a loyal one. And for some reason, I felt that Mega Lucario might work. To me, it not only fits with the clothes and the guns, but the aura could also match his celestial powers. Gamora is the deadliest woman in the galaxy, and has used her trusty sword to fell many a foe. To me, Scyther would be an appropriate Pokemon, being equally deadly with its blades, And, it's also green. Then of course there is Drax, known as the Destroyer. While maybe not a genius, he is certainly strong and skilled in battle. To me, the Pokemon that would be a good partner is Girder. This fighting type also has a similar appreciation for muscular physique, and also isn't above using metal weaponry. Next we have everyone's favorite sentient tree, Groot. This well-intentioned giant plant may have few words, but I think we can all agree that Trevenant would be an ideal match. Not only is it an actual grass type, but it's also a ghost type, which could represent Groot's potential for resurrection. And of course we can't have Groot without his best friend and partner in crime, Rocket. This mouthy raccoon is a pilot, technician, and weapons expert, and I couldn't see anyone else for the job besides our old pal Zigzagoon. It might be a little more than he's used to, but I think he can grow past his early route HM Slave origins. And after the formation of the team, the Guardians included Mantis, who is able to tap into emotions that others are feeling, as well as some limited mind control. To me, that made Mesprit an instant match, not only being a powerful psychic type, but also literally being the emotion Pokemon, said to be the one that supplied it to human beings in the first place. Oh, Yondu? Nobody cares about him because he's dead. But I guess we can cover Nebula. The cybernetic sister of Gamora, this enhanced alien is one savage combatant. And I don't know why, but I felt that Absol could be a good partner for her. Maybe it's just the edginess, or maybe it's because they're both blue, but they're both certainly tortured and misunderstood, not to mention great in a fight. But the Marvel Universe wouldn't be complete without the grand antagonist of them all, Thanos. The Mad Titan has been the architect of the Avengers' troubles from the beginning, and through his resolve actually achieved his goal of bringing balance to the universe. But someone who can not only collect, but wield all of the Infinity Stones deserves to have a full team of Pokemon. For a full explanation of why I picked this team to represent the Infinity Stones in the Pokemon universe, you can check out this other video. And if you like talking about the Avengers, then I have good news. I started a second channel called Afterthought Archives, where I can talk about anything but Pokemon. Not to worry, it won't interfere with the regular flow, but even if you don't watch it, really, it's still for you, so I don't get burnt out on the regular content. Hope to see you there. So, those are the Pokemon that I would pair with all of the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Which Pokemon would you pair with the Avengers? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!